Welcome back to Bike Like a Dog. Insert standard phrase requesting liking and subscribing here. I'm doing a voiceover today's ride because the topic isn't something I can really address while also dealing with traffic and road conditions. But this is today's video of the ride on my CFMOTO 450 or 450 MT if you like. In beautiful 73-degree Georgia sunshine here in the first part of March. And believe me, this is a lot better than staring at me. Okay. After reading some comments made by folks on comment pages for some of my favorite motor vloggers, I just felt like it was time that we had a crucial conversation regarding motorcycles. First, we need to discuss what a crucial conversation is. If you do an online lookup, you'll find a book about crucial conversations, which are discussions where stakes are high, opinions vary, and emotions run strong. Well, if that doesn't describe discussions about motorcycles, I don't know what does. Harley, Indian, Yamaha, sports bikes, ADV bikes, whatever, we're passionate about it. So, the crucial conversations, when I was working, still in my career, everyone at the company had to take a seminar that goes with that book for crucial conversations. I went into it, man, I was negative. I expected it to be a complete waste of time, but have to admit it was probably one of the two best educational opportunities I had in my entire 35 plus year career. And part of the reason was it wasn't just how to deal with stuff at work. It wasn't just training for some technical thing I was doing at work or something like that. It was how to deal with life. Now, as I said at the outset of this channel when I first started, part of what I'm doing is offering stuff that I, as a retired man, have learned in the course of my life. And hopefully some of those life lessons will help others. You may not have heard the term crucial conversation before, but you will recognize it. When strong emotions enter into the picture, logic and reason exit. Most people are familiar with the phrase fight or flight when we're talking about the adrenaline rush that comes with fear or excitement. We even have the term adrenaline junkies used to describe people who constantly put themselves in harm's way because they seem kind of addicted to the thrill of it. And that adrenaline rush does a lot of things. And there's all kinds of, I'm sure, endorphins and stuff like that. But we're just going to talk about one part of it. And here's what happens as part of that response. The body dilates the blood vessels serving the muscles and lungs, while also increasing the heart rate. This is preparing the body physically to receive optimal energy and oxygen for a life or death struggle, either in a fight or by running away from the threat as fast as physically possible. Like many things in life, this is a rob Peter to pay Paul scenario. In order to increase the blood flow and oxygen to the muscles, well, it's got to come from somewhere, right? Because it's not like your body's just going to create more all of a sudden. So if you need maximum physical response from your muscles, where can you spare it? Well, you can spare it from some parts of the body that are not needed in a maximum physical response. I mean, things like the stomach and other organs that are involved with digestion and stuff like that. You're not needing to really digest food at that particular moment in time. But you can also spare it from the brain. The blood vessels in the brain constrict in this response, reducing blood flow and oxygen to the brain. It's a classic, you don't need to think, you need to run response. And what I learned in Crucial Conversations is that an individual's IQ actually drops due to this response. In other words, when we get highly emotional, we literally become dumber as part of the response. Like, hey, let's hide behind the wall of chainsaws. Yeah, we might actually do that in that scenario. And you've also seen this in action, whether you realize it or not. Rational arguments that get more and more heated until they devolve into name calling and possibly physical confrontation. I mean, where else do you get such riveting dialogue like, you stupid head? Stupid head? I mean, yeah, we actually come up with stuff like that because in the heat of that moment, we can't think of anything better. How many times have you said, yeah, what I should have said was, but quote unquote, in the heat of the moment, a phrase that we've coined to deal with this dumbed down response, it's all we can come up with. It's also part of the reason why we're told to count to 10 or 50 or 100, whatever, or just walk away or consider the source or other things that are intended to give us an opportunity to calm down before we, quote unquote, do something stupid. Yeah, see how many things we have, how many quotes we have and phrases that are part of our lexicon because we recognize that when we're in the emotion, we do something stupid. You see, once either party gets highly emotional in an argument, the argument is effectively over. Because once a person is arguing based upon strong emotion, their brain is literally unable to handle a rational argument at that time. Doesn't mean that person is stupid, not at all. It just means that in that particular moment in time, their brain isn't operating effectively. Which is why after such an argument, we're so apologetic. I don't know why I said that. Or we'll say, I don't know why I did that. Or, don't you have fire insurance? We see emotional arguments like this in sports, politics, with our spouses, children, parents, and more. Motorcycle discussions are definitely in the realm where opinions vary and emotions are strong, especially for this brand, the CFMOTO. I was appalled at the vicious attacks on a motovlogger whose sole perceived transgression was that he was going to do a long-term review of this bike, the Ibex 450. He wasn't even purchasing it, just reviewing it. You would have thought he was standing on the Statue of Liberty burning the American flag. Look, I was born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s. I get the whole China communism thing, okay? I really do. I mean, I remember the Berlin Wall. I remember, all of a lot of things that many of you that are younger have only read in history books. But having grown up in the 1960s, I also remember a time when anything made in Japan was considered worthless junk. It wouldn't be unusual for a comedy sketch to have something like somebody parachuting out of an airplane, having their parachute fail to open, and then as they continued to fall, they'd turn over the parachute and see "Made in Japan" stamped on it. And the cars, I mean, even the name had the word toy in it for one brand, Toyota. And yet by the 80s, the best electronics were coming from Japan, as noted in the movie Back to the Future. Our car companies began taking notes and trying to duplicate the quality that was coming from the Japanese manufacturers. So yes, CFMOTO is a Chinese company, but KTM has several models made in China, such as the 390 Duke, the RC 390, the 200 Duke, 250 Duke, 125 Duke, and 390 Adventure. I think Suzuki produces a bike out of China. From what I've read, some of the scooters of Piaggio, Vespa, and some others are Chinese. Harley Davidson, American made. Yeah, Harley Davidson has motorcycles made in China. They don't sell them in the US, but they have a bike called the X350 or the X350RA. Now, you can ride the X350RA in the United States because those bikes are made for the Harley Riding Academy to use in their MSF courses. But you can't buy one. They're strictly for the Riding Academy. So should we boycott all the MSF courses taught by Harley because they're using Chinese motorcycles, even though they say Harley Davidson on the side? And what about Benelli or Moto Morini? Does everybody realize these companies have a parent companies have their parent companies are in China? I mean, that kind of makes them Chinese. And Benelli's owner, and I'm gonna just destroy the name of this company, but it's something like Qinjiang, something like that. I think they also partnered with MV Agusta to produce a bike. And remember BMW, good old BMW. Yeah, they got ties to the Chinese company. Again, I'm going to mess up the name, but I think it's like Lonson, which produces engines for the F750 GS and the F850 GS, along with their C400 scooters. And CFMOTO has significant ownership in KTM. Does that make KTM a Chinese company? Or does it not count until they have controlling interest? You see where I'm going with this. Where's the line drawn? If this Ibex were made in the exact same factories using the exact same workers, with the only change being that it was orange and said KTM on the side, would that make it Austrian? If a motorcycle was completely manufactured outside of China but carried the CFMOTO logo on the side, would that be considered Chinese or not? Nah. And even if the same manufacturing plants made almost identical parts for other non-Chinese companies? I mean, again, where's the line? And why is the line? Is the line strictly based on politics, or is quality actually in question? Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, especially when it comes to politics. No two people have exactly the same outlook and opinions. As I said, I understand the rational discussions about China, their government, everything. My neighbor actually is a Chinese immigrant, and she hates that government. She loves the people, but not the government. And she is very adamant that you draw a line, that there is a difference between the government and the people. But when we start having heated arguments and people start calling names, whether in person or online or whatever, rationality's left the building. We're no longer having reasonable discussions. Even though virtually every motorcycle manufacturer in the world has connections with China somewhere along the line. It's really just a matter of how much and where. I bought a Chinese motorcycle because it was the only available bike now that met my needs. I needed a bike now because my bike was wrecked back in November. I needed one that was smaller than a KLR or a T7 with a relatively low price tag and easier for a beginner with good rider age, less power, smaller size, because I am still a very low seat time rider. And right now, the only two bikes that are around that meet my need are the Himalayan 450 and this Ibex 450. Because I also needed one that I could do highway miles on. And that let out the smaller bikes like the 390, the 310 GS, and stuff like that. I also needed a dealership nearby for maintenance. That's not Royal Enfield because they're about 2 hours away, and so is BMW. If there's people that think, oh, you could have gotten a BMW that, or you should have waited for the new F450 concept bike to become a reality. Yeah, well, it's not here, and even if it was, it's too far away. The Ibex 450 was literally the only bike that met my needs. So, should I have purchased a machine that did not meet my needs? Should I have gotten a bigger, heavier, more powerful bike with greater risk of injury, assuming it didn't scare me so much that I just quit riding entirely? Or should I have gotten one that was so much smaller that I was actually in danger trying to ride it on the interstates around Atlanta? Yeah, makes me nervous just to think about it. Or should I have just remained a non-rider for a year or more as I waited for the non-Chinese manufacturers to bring out their bikes in this category? Because those are all those are pretty much my only options. Would I have preferred to be on a Kawasaki KLE 500, assuming they put that 451 engine into the KLE? Absolutely. I loved my Z500. And any bike based upon that same power plant would have been the hands down favorite. But it doesn't exist yet. And may not for another year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. There's no timeline on it. And I don't even know that it's going to be a 451. They may be doing something to replace the KLR 650 for all I know. maybe they're kind of replacing the Versus. Who knows? It's not a real bike yet. Well, what about the KTM, the new Adventure R? Well, I'd have to remain on foot for at least a few more months, waiting for that bike to become available in April, maybe, hopefully, and then settle for a less powerful machine with less highway capability and plus hope that KTM is still a viable company in 90 days. I'm pretty sure they will be, but it is a leap of faith, which is what people are saying about the Ibex reliability. They're saying that's a leap of faith. But how much of a leap is it? The 450 MT has been available in other countries for about a year, and there have been a lot of miles put on them. And the engine itself that is not just in the Ibex or the 450 MT. It's also in the 450 NK. It's in the 450 SS. I mean, there are more more models that use that power plant. And there have been a lot of reviews on these different bikes, and there have been a lot just both written and recorded about them. You'd be hard pressed to find a bad one, unless it was somebody that was just kind of predetermined that they weren't going to like a Chinese bike. Here's the bottom line. I purchased the best bike available that fit my personal needs. And I encourage everyone to do the same. And I don't mean that everybody should go buy an Ibex. Your needs are different than mine. But you need to determine what your needs are based upon your skill level, your finances, and anything else that determines what you are going to be happy with. and then go find the bike that is the best fit for you, because that's the one you should have. No matter where it's made, no matter what badge is on the side, that's the bike you need. New, used, doesn't matter. It's whatever fits your needs. Okay, folks, I hope I didn't get too, I hope I didn't say something stupid here, as I was kind of passionate in this. So I'm just going to wrap it up here. Listen, I hope your weather is warming up so you get days like this that you can get out and get on the roads. Like and subscribe, but above all, stay safe out there. Until next time, y'all. So long.